Shalom. I'm making my channel. Well, not necessarily my channel. YouTube owns the channel because they're the one that allows us to get on here and speak and have comments, and so I'm just utilizing the channel for truth. And the scripture says all good things come from above. So as I had said before, Yahusha, Abba and Yahusha, every place there is the truth, you have found Abba and Yahusha, because they're the truth. So if you get away from the religious concept, everything got to be in the Bible, in the scriptures. Now that is the foundation, that's the truth. But every place where you find the truth, you have found Abba and Yahusha. Because they don't lie, they tell the truth. They are the truth. So you can't separate the truth from them. They are the truth. And Abba consists of all things that are true. So being this is a truth channel, like I said, if you give me a word, I'll share that truth. But if I find some other information that can lead to some truth, I'll share that as well. Like I say, it's all relevant. I found this this is not my document. I believe, I don't know if I should say his name on here or not, but how can I do that? Well, I'll put it like this. It's somebody else's document. It's not mine, so I'm just sharing. It says, Fourth administrative ruling, government offices are vacant. All government officials are private contractors. So basically they're not governments. They're private contractors. I'm just sharing information. This is no attack against anyone. All rights reserved on my part. Have I given this gentleman his rights? Claim it and let you know it's not my document. So I'm just sharing information, and you determine for yourselves if it's true or not. So I'm just providing information for informational purposes. It says yes, you read that correctly. It is true. And now on the court record, blanket on white paper, please read on. A lot of us have been exposing the crime of your United States corporation for many years. But until recently, no one has had the proof that all government offices are vacant. No one is home. Those supposed government offices, agencies are being occupied by private contractors and are not being occupied by a legitimate government body. This is equivalent to the ice cream man knocking on your door and extorting taxes from you. He has no lawful authority to do anything other than to drive the ice cream truck. He's not a government official. He's an ice cream man. Your supposed government officials are nothing more than ice cream men and women who are fraudulently extorting money from you and your family, throwing you in prison, taxing you to death, stealing your children, and imposing their will on you, and enforcing their own international statutory rules and codes upon you and your family. That gentleman who owns this, who document this is, has now received 4 administrative rulings that prove what many of us have felt to be truth. What you think is government, what you think are legitimate government officials, senators, congressmen, policemen, governors, tax collectors, etc., are nothing more than private contractors extorting money from American citizens. All the majority, that's the majority, the real American citizens, capital C. And failing to pay off the public debt as they are instructed to do so by the 1933 bankruptcy. What they have done is this. These people have switched places with the average American citizen, capital A, capital C. They are enforcing their own administrative codes. They are only meant for them. Upon regular capital C citizens who are not being paid by the corporation. The supposed elected officials have hoodwink the country into an employment position without pay. They themselves are taking public money to occupy government seats, positions, agencies, when they are nothing more than private contractors. Felony. They are treating us as if we are paid government employees, enforcing their own internal rules and regulation codes and statutes on average capital C citizens, as well as conventionally forgetting to send us our weekly, monthly government employment check. I've been preaching this for the last year plus with no avail on this forum. Perhaps now people will begin to listen and take action. And these radio shows explains his administrative rulings from the various judges, explains the con, and shows you where in their very own U.S. codes the above aforementioned information is spot on. There are a few shows you need to listen to, and here are some of the bullet points of those shows. All board's attorneys are prohibited from representing John Q. Public, can only represent government officials and employees within their own agencies. Their bar charter says so. Any judge that prohibits you from representing yourself or hiring a defense other than a bar attorney are in fact committing a felony on the bench in violation of the Taft-Hartley Act, running a closed union shop, and the Smith Act overthrow of the constitutional form of government. Anytime a bar attorney represents someone in a case against you, you can now claim the person is incompetent, a ward of the state with no standing to sue. Any and all tax collectors, police officers, sheriff departments, DOT, tag agencies, bar attorneys, judges, highway patrol, supposed elected officials are nothing more than private contractors who can now be brought up on fraud charges for impersonating a public official while receiving federal funding. Any and all vehicle credit card loans are supposed to be discharged through the Treasury window in compliance with the 1933 bankruptcy laws. These scumbags are double dipping and never discharging the debt like they're supposed to. They're embezzling the funds and pocketing them for themselves. Every person sitting in prison today was railroaded by a bar attorney whose first allegiance is to the state, and he had it as the state as capital S, who had no lawful authority to represent them, who worked in concert with the capital S state to perpetrate a fraud upon his victims. Orders from administrative courts prove for the fourth time an agency of the capital S state is not an agency under the capital S state. So he's saying it's two states. Elected officials are claiming the 11th Amendment sovereignty, when it is actually you and I that hold the 11th Amendment sovereignty. They are getting paid by the corporation. You and I are not. They've admitted to the crime of no one actually holding a public office. They are filing corporate seats and defrauding the public. Political subdivisions are not getting their 40% funding from the feds as they're supposed to get. These judges has admitted, black ink on white paper, that all the state offices are empty. Now we have administrative paperwork ruling these public offices aren't part of the state agencies. Attorney generals may not practice law, can't represent the people who are not public officials. If the state is a third-party interloper in your marriage license, vehicle title, state registration, etc., then they are liable for 1/3 of the cost to manage the daily activities of that contract. That's if you choose to go that route. If the state demands you have a driver's license and tag, if this is your 14th Amendment citizen, if the state demands you to have a driver's license and a tag, your vehicle, because it is registered with the state, then as the owner of the vehicle, the state is required to pay the vehicle, the tags, the licensing, the fuel, the tires, the oil, etc. And they're also to pay you a salary for driving a state-owned vehicle. It says so in their own Highway Safety Act and USC CFR rules and regulations. And as I said, this is for informational purposes that anyone can find out. So this is not something that I'm divulging that's a secret. This is just for informational purposes. If the state demands you have okay. We now have the court orders that goes back and nullifies any and all IRS and tax cases, forced closures, credit card debt cases or actions. These people never had a lawful right to demand anything of you. They are corporate actors, not a legitimate government body. Judge admits the 1933 bankruptcy and no way to pay off anything because Federal Reserve notes all public debt is to be discharged through the Treasury. Only the Secretary of Transportation can hear traffic cases. All traffic cases are civil, not criminal. Okay. If you are not being paid for your time, you are not required to have one of their CDLs or CMV licenses. It is prohibited. It says we now have a major labor dispute on our hands. U.S. corporations running a slave record against American citizens, capital A, capital C, without the pay. United States Code USC and Title number 1 through number 50 are void. Have never been passed by Congress. All have been repealed. As I've been saying for a very long time on this forum, if you are not getting a weekly or monthly paycheck from the so-called federal government, aka United States, or one of the sub-corporations, such as state of, then their statutory rules, not laws, codes, and regulations do not apply to you, period. There is so much information packed into these last 6 calls. I can't even begin to share it in this post. If you want your freedom, if you want to know with 100% surety, the foreign corporation known as the United States has zero authority over you unless you are receiving a weekly paycheck from them. Take the time to listen to call number 646 through 651 here. Okay, so shalom. And that's the reason why too, when I addressed, through my retirement, I informed them. I said, if this is, I don't claim to be nobody's employee because I'm retired. So I don't want nothing that is not mine. And they said, well, it's yours. You paid until you earned it when you worked. So I don't hold no allegiance to it. All right. Shalom. Until next time, I'll try to keep on preventing interesting and pertinent information for the record. Like I said, just to allow us to come to the truth. Shalom.